Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of day it happens to be for you. Welcome to another scene in the living world of darkness, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's scene takes place in the Wheel of Fate Casino. Alicia is in her office, going over some of that paperwork she has to go through. Filing reports, with the higher-ups in the order. Waiting for new orders to come through. For the most part, she seems to just be passing the time by doing simple bookkeeping. What's in the chantry, what's not in the chantry, what should be there, what isn't. It's been a rather boring couple weeks for her.
I'm going to assume that Alicia, or at least the chantry, has a few people walking around that have started to take the old stations.
Oh, yes. There are a few people.
Okay.
New staff has been hired.
Then you'll probably get news from one of your staffers that a guy named Jericho is at the front door.
She'll look at the staffer. Escort him up.
Yes, ma'am. And in a very, very short order, the staffer returns with the man that you would know as Jericho Ogma.
Alicia will rise when you walk in the room. Jericho, I didn't expect to see you again.
Well, you know how it is. Life takes you away. You get to do work. You come back. But yeah, I needed to talk to you about a few things. You got a moment to spare?
Of course. Please have a seat.
I love it when that happens.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. All right, where did I get to?
You have some business you'd like to do, or do I have a spare moment? Alicia motioned Jericho to have a seat.
Okay. Jericho's just going to go ahead and take a seat, wheel himself in. All right. I was wondering if you could answer some of my questions about your former apprentice.
Denver. Yeah, I can answer a lot of those probably.
All right, Denver. Is that his craft name or his true name?
That's his craft name.
Do you know his birth name?
Not at all.
Okay, fair enough. It's always something to ask.
He kept it a very close secret, as far as I know. As far as I know, the only person who knew his birth name was his original master. But, I don't know, there might be some old records that list it.
It would be worth looking into that, but I'm going to guess there's a certain amount of classification and justification and authorization that goes into it. Probably not worth the effort if we know a few other things. Where does he hail from?
Phoenix. Went to high school there. Met a girl there. They were going to get married before he killed her.
Interesting. How young was he introduced into the order?
Oh boy. He was just out of high school and he graduated in 99. So I'd say he was probably 17 or 18, maybe 19.
That's a little young, don't you think?
It's very young, yes.
Who brought him in?
That was actually my former mentor, Catan.
Your former member, Catan.
Yes.
You can see that Jericho is currently making notes to himself. He's also the mentor to Denver, right?
No. Catan brought him in, but as I was still studying under him at the time, he didn't have room for any more students.
Okay. Who was his previous mentor?
His previous mentor was a man by the name of Adam. Adam Walsh, I believe.
Craft name, I believe.
Walsh, yes. Adam, no.
Go ahead and shakes his head. I hate that name so much. Have bad history with people named Adam. Real nightmares, though, cases. In any case. Adam Walsh was the mentor to Denver during their time in Phoenix.
Yes.
Right? How long was that apprenticeship?
Nearly 10 years.
Okay, 10 years. After those 10 years, what happened?
Adam lost it. He'd been losing it for a while. He just reached the point of no return.
So Adam lost himself and then kills his teenage sweetheart.
No, Adam sunk a ship, actually. A yacht. In Maine.
Sunk a ship in Maine? What was he doing in Maine?
That information, it was classified to me. All I needed to know, he was there on a mission.
Okay, fair
He
enough.
caused the death of, I don't know how many people off the top of my head. 2 teachers and several dozen students. A yacht that was chartered for a private school event. He tore a breach in the hull and it went down.
Okay, so that's a lot of casualties. The target having been classified. What was he brought up to be?
Denver was brought up to be an assassin.
Great. And growing old school with this, aren't we?
Well, his mentor was very old school.
Okay, so he's brought up as an assassin. He sunk a ship. Brought a lot of death. I can only imagine it was to expedite getting at his target, whatever his target may have been.
That could be the case. It could be it was an accident. I don't know his side of the story. I only know the information that was given to me. Alicia will reach into her desk and pull out a thick manila envelope filled with paper.
Hmm.
She'll pull a file from it and start going through them. This is the police report from the incident in Maine.
Mm-hmm. Jericho's going to go ahead and, mimic, yeah. He's going to go ahead and turn the report around, open up the vanilla folder, starts going through it.
Denver never was willing to tell me his side of what his mentor did that night.
Okay. So you're telling me that Denver and Adam Wash was there in this event in Maine?
Correct. I expect that maybe when Denver started slipping himself. One of our first missions together, Denver killed someone who did not necessarily need to die, and I looked the other way because I knew how he was trained.
So you've been on missions with him before?
Yes, several.
All right. How does he operate?
He's very rational about things, almost to the point of being cold.
That does help quite a lot. What's his MO like? I'm going to assume that he doesn't pick out targets for himself. I assume he's assigned them.
Exactly.
Okay, so what kind of loadout does he usually come out with?
When we worked together, he favored poisons and knives.
Fucking hell. Poisons and knives. Okay, that just made things a little bit more complicated. Although I have to say, a sniper rifle. It's clean, it's efficient, it has its own set of risk. It involves a lot of setup time. Usually you don't see the bullet coming, that's good. But poison, that's a whole different can of worms. That involves a level of paranoia that most people don't want to be bothered with.
I don't think it was so much paranoia as efficiency. With a poison-coated blade, there's time. There's time to get information from the target before they die, if they in fact need to die.
So you're saying that he wasn't one to poison the target's food and just leave. He was one to get up really, really close and start using his poison then.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. That alleviates some of my concern. If he ever does learn that trick of poisoning people from afar, please tell me. That's a devastating trick.
I don't know if he's learned the trick of poisoning people from afar yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if he has.
Oh, it's incredibly easy. You just learn the target's lunch schedule, and you just conveniently place yourself at the right place at the right time with the right amount of radioactive elements. Dip it into the burrito and just walk away.
She'll go through the file and pull out 3 more reports. This was from his girlfriend's death in 2011.
Okay. Jericho's going to go ahead and slide the boat accident to one side, bring in the homicide of the girlfriend. Okay. What was the relationship between Denver and his sweetheart?
As far as I know, they were going to get married. I know he took on a substantial amount of debt for her at one point.
Really? Why
Yeah.
the debt?
He is not the most open person. The only reason I know he took on the debt is because he had to go through me to apply for a credit card and have those expenses taken care of by the organization.
Well, that's both a blessing and a curse. This tells me that he hasn't quite mastered the trick of being out on his lonesome. It tells me that even at that point, he was heavily dependent on the tradition to furbish him. So we might get lucky. He might have not gotten the right amount of context to be a really, really big danger.
The other two are one was a death in Pennsylvania, the other was a death in Ithaca, New York. Both had similar physical characteristics to his girlfriend. Interestingly enough, one of them had terminal cancer. She was dying.
Okay. Go over the methods of death. Go over the methods of murder. How did he do it?
I wasn't able to get in, so I only have the official autopsy report to go off of.
Oh, hand that over to me, please.
It's included the last few pages in the case file I gave you.
Oh, Jericho's actually going to go right to those autopsy reports and just... Have you ever seen somebody critiquing somebody else's work?
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty much it. As you would go ahead and read, edit, and proofread somebody else's article, Jericho is doing much the same, but just with the autopsy reports going, you could have described it as a lateral laceration to the sternum, but no, you decided to be fancy and waste like 5 seconds of my time.
Go ahead and roll me intelligence medicine.
I'm going to go ahead and boost my intelligence.
Do so.
Two. Gonna go ahead and bust that both into intelligence.
Okay.
5 intelligence, 3 medicine, and I'm gonna spend a willpower because I'm actually paying attention. Might have needed it. Those ones are nasty. 3 successes.
Okay, with 3 successes, you'll notice very quickly a number of masses described, or abnormal masses near the lungs, near the heart, pressing on the heart actually, and stomach.
And this is from the case file of one of the people that wasn't identified as a terminal patient.
This is the case file from the murder of his girlfriend.
Blank, blank, blank. I might need to do some background checking on this one. What's his girlfriend's name?
Name is Lily Thompson.
Annalise, did you realize that Miss Thompson was showing signs of really, really awful cancer and growths around most of his her upper chest?
Yes, I did. Initially, I thought that may be the method of death.
What Jericho's gonna go right to the cause of death. What's underlined there in the autopsy?
Opiate overdose.
Opiate overdose. No cut marks along the body, I would assume, right?
Nope, no cut marks. The autopsy report ruled the death as a suicide.
Interesting. What was the method of inhalation? Was it needle? Was it orally?
It's believed it was introduced through an IV line.
Introduced through a IV. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah. Does this look like, oh, fuck's sakes. You know how some doctors are called a doctor of death because they've been promoting euthanasian techniques?
Kevorkian?
Yeah, Kevorkian.
Yeah.
Does this look like exactly that?
Yeah. With your medical knowledge, Jericho, you would recognize this as that.
Okay. Ma'am, this looks like euthanasian techniques like Dr. Death, Kevorkian. This might be a little bit different. Okay, Annalise. When you went on missions with him, how did he take out the target?
Most often it was with poison. He kept several vials of concentrated heroin on him.
All right. So he would take the heroin, inject it into the target?
Usually he had it coated on his blade.
Okay. So now I'm just imagining the situation as it is. You go ahead and find the target, get very, very close to the target, nick him, and then walk away. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very efficient. And really, really scary all at the same time.
Like I said, he was cold and logical.
Okay, that's his MO. That's how he did it. Which makes me think that the sunken ship was not according to his plan at all.
No,
This is his MO. Simply getting close to the target, nicking him, and walking away. That seems like overboard.
No, that definitely wasn't him.
Was it his mentor?
It was his mentor. I was called in to extract him.
He's still alive?
His mentor, no. His mentor was dealt with.
His mentor was dealt with because when you looked inside his soul and inside his mind, you saw the dark presence of Jor there.
Exactly.
Right now, you worry that this apprentice has the exact same Jor inside of him. I'm going to guess you don't have any confirmation of that.
No, I don't.
Okay. Going back to the girl, Miss Thompson's file. Do we know anything about Miss Thompson's medical history?
I do not. I lack the skills to be able to obtain that information on my own, and I don't really want anyone to know. I suspect my apprentice may be losing himself.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. Does anybody outside you and me think that he is on the dark path?
No one yet.
So to everybody else, he's still a card-carrying member of the Youth Anatoi.
Yes, I've made sure, as far as the official reports, the official paperwork is concerned, Denver is not here with me, but he is carrying out business for me.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I'm going to talk to a few of my people and see if I can't get a more detailed history of Miss Thompson. If she was showing signs or being treated for terminal cancer, I want to know. In any case, which, if all, I'm gonna guess that all of these do different cases are assignments that he took upon himself that he wasn't given.
Exactly.
All right. Now let's look at we have the sunken boat, we have the girlfriend, we have the terminal cancer patient that we've already that was pre-diagnosed with it. But what about the last one?
The last one was as far as I can tell, she was just a girl. She went missing from a roadside bar in Pennsylvania.
Okay, this is the Ithaca case.
Yes, this is the Ithaca case.
Okay. She disappears in Pennsylvania, and she shows up in Ithaca.
Yes.
Jericho's going to go to the autopsy report.
The autopsy report notes that the body was severely decayed by the time it was found, as though it had been sitting unprotected in the weather for several days.
How long was this Ithaca chick missing? Pennsylvania chick missing?
She was missing for nearly 6 weeks.
Blink, blink. Where is her body?
Alicia will go through her notes on that particular case. She was in fact buried in Ithaca.
I may need to take a trip up there then. I do not like the fact that she was disappeared for 6 months, then turned up dead. What kind of confirmation do we have that our Denver fellow actually took this girl out?
The car she left the bar in and the description of the man she left the bar with match.
I really need to talk to this chick now. That's 6 months that she was under whatever type of influence that Denver is currently under. If she tells me a story that I don't like, well, you may have your confirmation there.
Well, you have the name.
I know I do have the name, but these kind of necromantic practices are better done right next to the side of the body.
Fair enough. What about Lily?
Miss Lily Thompson?
Yes.
Miss Lily Thompson. People think that necromancy and calling up dead spirits is going to be an exact science. Miss Lily Thompson has been dead for quite a long while. It can be very, very detrimental to a spirit to raise it up after it has been asleep so long.
What about spirit talking?
This is exactly what I mean. Look, Annalise, have you ever talked to the spirit of the dead?
Only a few times through a Ouija board.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's never really an exact science. Calling upon a voice from the other side does two things. One, it goes ahead and weakens the shroud right where you are, inviting a lot more powers and spirits to descend upon you. Second off, it might cause damage to trying to contact. Spirit is dead. The spirit just wants to be left alone, so for its own eventual oblivion, as far as I can tell. Calling them up, it can be helpful, but only if you're in it for the long haul. If you're not in it for the long haul, if you're not willing to help them resolve some of their issues that's keeping them anchored in this life or this world, it's not worth it. But if you think calling up the spirit of Lily Thompson is going to help us find this Denver Faloke, I'll think about it. Really, the best way to get that information is just use a few of my contacts in the medical community to pull her records.
Well, if you're willing to exert your influence in that area, I would greatly appreciate it.
Of course I'm willing to do it. That way your hands remain utterly clean and the rest of the tradition has no idea what's going on.
You're going to expect favors in return for this.
Of course I am.
Fair enough.
All right. That will help us identifying Mr. Denver's past history, and we can use that as evidence when we finally go ahead and take him down, whether or not permanently or through re-education. What I'm most disturbed about, actually I shouldn't be. Look at the Lee Thompson case. Nobody gave him that assignment. He took it on his own. And if I get confirmation about her previous illness, he might be turning the wheel himself, using his own directives. We might not have a rogue. We might have an enlightened one. Scary, I know.
That is frightening.
All right. We have his MO down. Ithaca was the very, very last case wherein he took the Pennsylvania girl captive or convinced her to follow him for 6 months, and we find her dead. What was her cause of death then? Exposure?
It seemed to be, yes.
Okay, fair enough. So,
Though the coroner admits the results were inconclusive, but he could find nothing in her, no traces of anything in her system, nothing, no marks from external trauma that made him believe she died of anything other than exposure.
the kind of exposure that takes a few days, not a few weeks.
Exactly.
Okay. Fair enough. I expect to see dehydration. I expect to see some amount of starvation. What was her last meal?
Last meal was sushi.
Blink, blink, blink. You may be looking for a sushi bar.
Sushi bar.
Her last meal.
Or you might be looking for a gas station. Or a supermarket.
Jericho goes ahead and looks at the autopsy report. Couldn't even spare 3 fucking letters to say bad sushi. You can see Jericho is actually really, really pissed off at this piece of paper. He actually looks, who the hell is this goddamn coroner that wrote this report? I might send him back to the wheel myself.
Lucia laughs a little nervously. But you'll find, hi Jarvis.
Hi, Jarvis.
You'll find on the first page of the report The name of the coroner is one Regine Sharpnack in Ithaca, New York.
Regine. Fair enough, my good man. Fair enough. All right. Okay, from Ithaca, New York, we find that he goes ahead and stomps his way into New York City proper. How did you follow him?
Well, I followed him by reports of his vehicle. And she'll produce several traffic camera photos, including one outside a Chase Bank in Manhattan.
He really is very dependent on the order to cover his tracks. He looks over at Alicia and says, "What are you teaching these people?"
Honestly, I'm rather surprised. Part of me thinks maybe he wants to be caught. He was never this careless when we worked together.
Could have found a different vehicle. Could have stolen it. Maybe he thought stealing a car would have drawn too much attention to himself.
Instead, he just changed the paint color. Never changed the license plates.
Easy enough to walk over to some other vehicle and exchange plates with them. Most people don't even realize it's happened until like 3 or 4 days afterwards.
Or if they're stopped at a traffic stop.
True enough. Maybe he feels like he doesn't have anything to hide.
There is that possibility. But if he doesn't have anything to hide, he would return my calls.
Has he abandoned the vehicle quite yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
So, you see wide-eyed. So he still has this vehicle.
It seems that way.
Okay, fair enough. Easiest thing to do right now is to get in touch with somebody with eyes on traffic. See if they can't follow the vehicle back to where he's currently set up shop.
I haven't had any more reports of this vehicle come into me.
Leads me to believe that he did, in fact, abandon the vehicle. Okay.
The last one was a few weeks ago. It was in Manhattan. After that, silence. So we have an assassin in New York somewhere. Great. Taking a stab in the dark at it, based on what I've seen around here, I'd guess the type of neighborhood that's trendy. Yeah, based on where he's lived in the past, I guess the type of neighborhood that's trendy or was trendy maybe 10, 11 years ago.
All right. What resources is he currently working with?
To the best of my knowledge, he's just working with cash.
Okay. How much cash do you think he's got on him?
When we worked together, he never carried more than a couple hundred on him at a time.
On the run, he might take more.
He might take more. He might be scamming credit card companies.
What's his bug out bag like?
About 2 weeks of pay, which for us at the time was a couple $1,000s. All weather clothing, shirts, jackets, light pants. First aid kit, gun, knives. His work kit. And his sleeping bag.
Alright, fair enough. So we had an assassin with that kind of layout who was last seen in front of that bank, who may be looking to bed down in a more trendy neighborhood. I wish we had something more to go on.
The kind of neighborhood that's just up and coming or just on its way out.
I have streetwise of 1.
Yeah.
Intelligence streetwise?
Go for it.
Roll my irritate to bust up my intelligence. Motherfucker. Actually, it's 1. Coincidental 3. Definitely 4. Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice. 7 intelligence. 1 streetwise. 8 dice. I am not spending willpower on this simply because this would not be something I would spend willpower on. Not concentrating as hard as I should be on it. 1, 2, 3 successes.
You know the neighborhood Jade lives in is pretty up and coming. As a matter of fact, she was able to get an apartment there very cheaply.
Oh, fuck's sakes. Might be a stab in the dark, but I think I know which neighborhood he might want to move in on.
With 3 successes, you would also know Greenwich Village was popular in the 90s and early 2000s and is sort of on its way out.
Might want to take a stab at Greenwich Village.
So, Manhattan and where's this other neighborhood then?
Greenwich, Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
That is right, isn't it?
Williamsburg, but close.
What the hell is Williamsburg?
Williamsburg is Jade's neighborhood in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Continue.
So, Greenwich Village in Manhattan and Williamsburg in Brooklyn. Fun. Both places with a lot of people.
That's true, but at least we have some stomping grounds and extra eyes. We'll go ahead and make it easier on us. We have the description. If we set some people out there just to go ahead and walk around, they might get lucky. Or we could just go ahead and talk to some real estate agents or apartment, or go ahead and look at some apartment hunting firms, see if they've seen this man. I don't know. Let's go ahead and pose as goddamn landlords trying to get some old rent.
Lawyers.
Yes. I was not going to call them debt sharks.
Lawyers looking to collect old rent on behalf of an old landlord. But the amount of debt he has, that's believable.
That is right. He did take on quite a good deal of debt. Wait, let me ask you this. That murder of Miss Thompson, did anybody provide him with materials, or did he take any materials from the tradition to cover that?
Not that I'm aware of, but he got most of his supplies from a dealer.
When did he take on this debt?
The card. The card was canceled in 2005 due to non-payment, so I'm assuming sometime in between 2002 and 2005.
Okay, this is the beginning of that particular long commitment, not right before he went ahead and offed her.
Yeah.
That was probably to cover her medical expenses. Well, I can conjecture, I can assume all I really want. At the end of the day, I'll need hard confirmation. But it would fit the story, wouldn't it?
It does. Even though the death was ruled as a suicide by the coroner, the police are still treating it as an open case because they were never able to question him.
It'd be very, very interesting after I talk to my contacts. Okay. Now that we know sort of where he could be, now we know the kind of questions we need to be asking. How do we want to proceed from here?
Get what information you can about Lily and come back to me.
I can definitely do that. And I'll definitely take a trip up to Ithaca as well. I don't like this Pennsylvania girl disappearing for 6 months only to end up dead, all under his care.
I will see what information I can get from his old Chantry Master.
Okay, what kind of information are you going to get from his old Chantry Master?
Part of the reason, well, from our old Chantry Master, actually, part of the reason I was assigned to Denver is because he had a destiny, and I was supposed to protect him.
For fuck's sake!
I'm a knight of Rhadamanthus. What do you expect?
No. That just makes things so much more complicated, because not only are we fighting him, whatever dark masters his old master may have had, but now the entire weave of fate is now on his side. Damn it!
Not necessarily. I was merely supposed to ensure that fate came to pass. I was never told what it was.
How can you make sure that something comes to pass if you don't know what a fate is? Are you just there to make sure he doesn't die or offs himself or gets himself into a stupid kind of trouble?
Basically, yes. They also hoped that by assigning him to me as my apprentice, that I would learn to not be so gentle, and he would learn to not be so quick to end another's life. Instead, here we are.
We are here because this young apprentice went AWOL. We're here because this young apprentice doesn't trust anybody. He is particularly paranoid, but he still believes in his mission to continue turning the wheel. But he's no longer taking directives from the tradition at large. This is why we're here, because he's continuing to do work and we don't have tabs on him.
Correct.
So what happens when we do find him? We'll cross that road when we come to it. We still have a lot of questions about why he did the things he did, and we need to see if there's signs of the dark path in his previous behavior.
If you do happen to find him, I want him brought back to me unharmed, if possible. Otherwise, alive will do.
I can't guarantee that he will be unharmed. And I can't guarantee that he will come back at all. Except for maybe in a body bag.
Jericho, if you're taking on this mission, you are acting for me while I'm stuck here. That's a nice, big boon to have on your side. Especially considering I'm likely going to be the person who ends up in charge here.
Well, when you say it like that, would you like him gift wrapped as well?
Please.
I'll say what I can do. If he becomes a danger to myself or any of my allies, then I cannot guarantee anything.
Of course you can't guarantee anything. You're too smart for that.
Okay. Anything else that you think would help me bring him to you?
Look for dealers in those neighborhoods. If he's still operating, still using the same MO, then he'd be getting his supplies from them.
Goes ahead and shakes his head. All right. Thank you very much.
He could get them far more inexpensively from the order, but he liked to keep an eye on the people who were dealing poison.
In some ways, I can admire that. I have my own theories and philosophies of how this world is so screwed up that you can only go ahead and put stop gaps on everything. If you kill one dealer, another dealer is going to come right back and take his place. Why? Because people desperately want to reach out for that chemical escapism. Why? Because the world sucks. Why? I don't know.
Well, I have my own theories about why it sucks, but I doubt you came to hear that.
Well, I have about forever, or about 5 minutes before I gotta go and do something.
The world was created and then it was abandoned.
So we're like one of those high school projects that never really gets completed. We're like that unfinished novel that you say that you're going to come back to, but never do.
Perhaps. Or perhaps that's one way of looking at it. The way I see it, our world was created, it was deemed complete, and whatever being created it moved on to presumably create another world without leaving enough power in the hands of those who were supposed to be caring for this world, or even leaving anyone to care for it at all.
Very interesting theory. So what does that mean for those of us who can see how broken this world is?
It means we have a lot of work to do.
Who gave us that responsibility?
That depends on who you ask.
The only responsibility that most of us have is to live, breathe, grow old, eat, defecate, and die.
Most of us, yes. And there are people like us, people who are aware of what's out there.
Just because we're more aware of our environment, does that mean our responsibilities grow with it?
I didn't join the order to protect. I didn't join the order to turn the wheel, Jericho. I joined it to protect the wheel. I joined it to protect everybody out there. One more pawn stacked in their favor that someone won't come and cut their thread before it's their time.
Shrugs. How you choose to pursue your own ascension is your own matter.
So long as you're actually ascending and not the opposite.
I think we can both agree on that. How do you say that last name again?
Militante.
Miss Militante, I believe
Yes.
our business is concluded. I do wish you a good day. Jericho goes ahead and hops off his seat. He leans over the desk and he says, "Do you mind if I take these?"
Go
Pointing to the
ahead.
case
I have
files.
copies.
Yoink, 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 yoink. Carry them with me. Thank you.
Good evening.
Jericho's gonna go ahead and walk to the door. Go ahead and open it up. Look at the staffer. Escort me out. Presumably he'll be escorted out.
Oh, yes. He'll be taken back to the front door. Alicia, once Jericho leaves and doors close behind him, will pace around her office for a bit before burying the end of her machete in the desk.
Fair enough. Jericho, for his part, is just going to go ahead and take these case files and, well, see where the rest of the night takes him. Let's make sure these few documents go to a safe place. And then we will go ahead and end our scene. Thank you, everybody, for watching.